Hello, everyone. My name's Adam Kostandy, and today I wanted to talk to you about three really critical, really important, and honestly, some of the most fundamental ideas in C++ that you're going to learn, which are going to be the cout object, variables, and cin. Before you begin actually diving into these topics, thinking about your first steps in C++, I want all of you to know that there are some critical tools that you're going to need. And the most critical tool you're going to need is an IDE or a code editor. Listed here are my three recommendations based on your platform on what you should use. For Windows, download Visual Studio Community 2022. For Mac, you're going to want to download Xcode from the App Store. If neither of these two options are available to you due to your computer being outdated or just due to different restrictions, you could still go on the web and do any of these concepts or assignments, and that would be under Replit. The first thing we're going to look at here is actually a very standard template in C++. You're going to be seeing this a lot when you're coding your projects, and you can honestly copy and paste this template for a lot of your starting projects. And I'm going to go through with you step by step on what each of these things are. You see right here, line number 1, hashtag include these two little carets, an IO stream. What you need to know about this is that this is a library. For now, what I want you to know about this hashtag include IO stream is that it provides the input and output operations that we are going to use, which are cout and eventually cin. What you need to know is that whenever you want to include an extra library for your code, you're going to include it at the top of your main CPP file here. And you see how it says hashtag include? Then these two brackets, an IO stream. Now, using namespace std, all I want you to really know for now is that namespaces in C++ just help coders organize their code better. And what it does is that if there is no namespace that we use, so if we do not use using namespace std, we would have to write std semicolon semicolon cout for each time we want to use it. For most of us, especially as beginners, we're going to want to make sure our code is as clean as possible. So we're going to want to add this using namespace std at the top here so that when we write our code, we just have to write cout and not std semicolon semicolon cout. And here we have the first main function. And what you need to know is that a main function in C++ is basically the starting point of your program. When your code first runs, it's going to look for this main function and start executing from the top to the bottom sequentially. The first thing that it's going to execute in this is going to be this cout line, cout hello world end line. Now you might be asking yourself, Adam, isn't the first line of code the main function is the starting point of the program? So what you need to know is that if you put two dashes and put some stuff after it, this is a comment. So when you have the two slashes here, know that this is a comment. And at the end here, it's standard to write return 0, which basically just indicates that the program successfully executes. We're going to go into a live example now, and I'm going to show you what this looks like when we actually execute our program. I'm here in an online web code editor, very similar to Visual Studio 2022, and here I have our program. I'm going to go to my run option, which most of you will have something similar, run and debug. And if I click on this, I'm going to click on the C++ one. After you run a program in an IDE, usually you're going to have a terminal that's going to show you your output. And now you see here how I have hello world. That's our first execution of our program. So whichever editor you're using, you're going to want to make sure that you look for that play button in order to play the program and its output be shown in the terminal. The first main concept I want to go over is cout, which basically means character output. And what this is that it helps us display output to the console. A lot of times in computer science, you're going to want to see data in the console for debugging error handling, or just finding out information about calculations. The most important concept for you to know is that there are two parts to the cout. First, when you want to print out something, you will write cout, and then you put these two left caret, left caret. These two left carets here are what is known as an operator. This is the insertion operator. And basically what you're saying is that when you do cout like this with the two left carets, and you go to hello world, what it's going to do is that it's going to print hello world to the screen. Now you might be asking me, what is this at the end here? End L. Well, if we don't have an end L there, what's going to happen is that all of our text is going to be streamed onto one line. So it's going to be really difficult to read if we have a lot of stuff we need to print. So you put this end L here in order to have the next line that you want to print be separated from the first. If I have two lines like this and I write the first one, cout, with the two left carets, and I write this is a single line, and then I do an end L, the next line is going to show up on the line under it and not right beside it. Another core piece of information that you need to know is that there is this concept called escape sequences. What is an escape sequence? Inside of my string here, when we have two quotations like this, and we're referring to a line of text, that usually is called a string. If on these lines I didn't have these quotation marks here, the compiler or the IDE would be very angry with us and would not want us to run our code. So you have to make sure you put these when you're outputting a line of text. But sometimes we need to do special things inside of these strings in order to get special things done. A couple of them that I'm showing here is that if you put this forward backslash here and put a T, what that's going to do is that's going to create a tab. When you do this line contains a tab and you do backslash T, now my selection is tabbed, and then end line, it will then create a tab within inside of this string. You see here how we have this backslash n? This is going to do the same thing that the end line is going to do. And in fact, what the end line does is that it adds this new line character at the end. What you're essentially doing here is that you're adding one end line character and then another end line character. There are several different escape sequences that you could use and a lot of uses for them. You'll see if you do some research, if you look up escape sequences in C++. So here I am in my program number 2, and I wanted to show you guys the output of what this looks like. So if I click on play and I run it, you're going to see in the terminal, hello world. And you see how this goes to the next line? That's because I put this end line here. Let's see what happens if I don't put the end line and what it looks like. You see here how this didn't go on to the next line? That's why end line's important. You're going to want to separate and keep your code as clean as possible. This is going to be hard to read if I didn't have any of these end lines here. If I write another cout statement here, so I'll just write cout, hello there, and I'll put another end line. When I save it and I click play, you see here how this says this line contains a new line within a string? Because I put both the backslash n and the end line, you see that it actually skips 2 lines. So it skips one, and then it skipped another and went to hello there. So that's why we have 2 separations there. Okay, so the next topic I'm going to talk about are variables. Now, variables are extremely important, and I'm going to first talk about them like an analogy. What variables are the containers that hold data. And the 2 main things you have to know is that they have a name and a data type. There are 2 steps to a variable, and they can be combined into one, but the 2 main steps are usually you declare the variable. So you see here how I have int age, and then an assignment. So I make age equal to 30. Now, what is int? And why is it called age? Integer is a data type, and int means that your data has to be a whole number. And age is what we're calling this integer. Let me try to explain a little further with more of an example. So let's say me, Professor Adam or Instructor Adam, I wanted to go and keep some money with myself to go buy some stuff in a shop. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to buy a wallet. So I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy a wallet. Boom. There's my wallet in my hand. Now, this wallet is going to hold money. It's going to keep cash. Buying the wallet is like the container for holding your variable. This is a wallet that holds cash. Wallets hold cash. Cash. Right? So I'm buying a wallet for a specific item. I need to have it hold cash. I can't put anything random in there. What it holds, its main purpose is to hold money. But I don't have any money. So I'm going to go to the bank and I'm going to take $30 out. I'm going to put it inside of my wallet. So now my wallet holds $30 inside of it. Now I'm 30 bucks richer. So that's like assigning the value to the variable. I'm taking an amount of money and I'm putting it inside of my wallet. Integer isn't the only data type. You're going to work with doubles, bools, strings, etc. So there are going to be different containers for different things, just like in life. Like how in a cage, you're going to be able to hold a dog. Or, here, let me draw a dog. So what you need to know is that when you declare the variable, that's you actually saying, I want to have something I could put something inside, sort of like making the container for it. And then actually assigning the value to it is like putting money in your wallet. There are a lot of different types of variables, and it can get overwhelming, but we're only going to be working with a few, especially at the start. And one of the main ones is this double. For now, I just want you to think of a double as a decimal number. When you're doing ints, it's whole numbers, but when you're doing doubles, it works with floating point, or for now, think of it as a decimal number. So with a double, you have to make sure you have dot and then some type of decimal after it. So just think of these as decimal numbers. And for char, I bet you can figure out what it holds, but it holds a single character. So if I do char initial equals A, you see that we're storing into initial the value A. Strings are just a collection of chars. So you could see here that I put double quotes. I have my name for my variable, also called an identifier, but I'm just using name for now. Inside of name, I'm storing John Doe. So now name contains the value John Doe. And you see how in all of these, I'm declaring and initializing them on the same line? I could, in theory, do double price, semicolon, and then right under it, write price equals 1999. But to save us some space in our code, sometimes it's better to just have it all in the same line. And down here, you could see that I could change the variable at a later date if I want. When I set my age back in the previous slide to 20 or 30, that doesn't have to be the case. You don't have to have it be 30 forever. What you can do is have 31 be the new value. So when I print out age again, it's going to print out 31 and not 30. And something to note here, this is extremely important, is that you see how these are in double quotations? When you're printing out a variable name, you're not going to put the quotations around it. Now, why is that? Because if I put the quotations around age, it's not going to get the value that I have inside of it. If I just put age in quotations there, it would print out cout age age. No, what we want to print out is cout age 30. This is going to get the value from it. So you want to make sure that you do not put quotations around variables when you want to print the values from them. Here we are with my code example. I'm going to run it as usual. Click run. And let's take a look here. You see here how in cout age is 30. What you could find is that if we do cout new age end line, you see how I updated age to 31 here? Now it's going to adopt the new value, and when you print it, it's going to be new age 31. The final concept I want to talk about is cin. And in a lot of ways, cin is sort of the opposite of cout. You want to think of it as cout is you're going to show data. But with cin, you're going to input data. When I have a cin object like this, you have to make sure that you're careful. You see these operators here? This one's like this, with the two left carets. But these have the two right carets. So you want to be careful that you switch these when you're making your code. When I do cout enter your age, this is a prompt. I'm just asking you to please enter your age. The real magic is when you do cin age. In your code editor, when you click play, you're going to see that your terminal will be waiting for you to enter an input. So if you do cout you are age years old, end line, whatever you input into age here is going to be the value when you print it out here in your cout. Let's go to a code example to show you how this works. So here we are with the code. I'm going to debug it. You see here how my program stopped? Right here, it would usually have a lot more text after this. So why is my program stopped all of a sudden? That's because we're waiting for input from cin. You see here how we have the cin -- age? I'm going to type in the number 10. And you see, since I typed in 10, and then I couted age here, you are 10 years old. Now, what happens if I don't actually input a number and I input some text? Remember how we said that these don't really work well together? So if I type in Adam for age, you're going to see that something horrible happens. It prints out you are 0 years old. So make sure that you're entering your data correctly when you're using cin. So in the description, I actually provided an assignment that I think is going to help you learn how to use cout, cin, and variables. If you haven't heard of the game Mad Libs before, basically what you do is that you think of a bunch of terms, and they could be anything, adjectives, nouns, but they don't even have to be that. You could just have it be a place in the United States, or in like an object in my room. And what you're going to do is you're going to let the user input the values for several places inside of a story and then print out the whole story for them. So you're going to have all the cin statements so that they could fill out the story. And then at the end, you're going to print it for them. Okay, this was my video on cout, cin, and variables. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and have a good day.